Remind me never to make a cinematic sequence when I'm hungry. I was miserable. All I wanted to do was eat. But I had to sit there and move the camera around 100 times. All right, you guys, as promised, today's video is going to be 5 cinematic drone movements that will make your videos more dynamic. Really just keeping in the theme of real estate right now because that's what we're shooting a lot of. But in principle, this stuff will apply across the board to any project. So it turns out I didn't get all the shots that I wanted to get at this location just because of the wind. So I'm gonna splice this together with another shoot and we'll continue from there. The way that I try to approach this in general is remembering that the drone is a camera. People kind of get into this mindset where they think, oh, this is just an RC in the sky. But you need to carry over those photo principles that you use with your handheld camera to a drone as well. I try to get far shots, medium shots, close shots, detail shots. That is what I do with a regular camera. That's what I do with a drone. A camera's a camera. Another thing to keep in mind is how you approach the sequence that you're about to film. I personally try to keep it chronological because that's how the event makes sense to me. That's like the most simplistic way to tell a story, I feel like. So the first shot I usually try to get is a wide establishing shot, however that looks. I usually like to start pushing the drone forward towards the venue as a whole and then panning the camera up. So it's sort of like a pan reveal, push in reveal, push in pan up reveal. Another shot I like to get is sort of a very far orbit. You're basically choosing a point in the middle of the screen way out far, and then you're flying the drone sideways, but you're also turning the camera slightly to keep that distant focal point centered. Those are the 2 primary shots that I use for opening scenes. Alternatively, you can just use a simple push in and then cross dissolve from a black screen or a white screen into that intro shot. So for the second set of shots, what I'll do is reveal the subject of the video or sequence. And one of the ways that I like to do that is push in, but instead of pushing in and tilting up, now we're gonna push in and tilt down. And that kind of reveals your subject from the overall scene. Similar to the orbit shot above, I do the exact same thing when we're at a medium distance now. So I'll have the camera maybe like 3/4 angle down. I'm not level with the house, but I'm also not above it. I'm kind of at an angle, so you can see the front and the yard and also the roof a little bit. So for the next set of shots, I'll get way closer to the house, and you're pretty much omitting most of the neighborhood at this point. Now the focus is truly just the house. The first shot I like to do with this is start at maybe 3/4 above the house and then just drop your altitude while panning up a little bit. And I find this is a really good way to introduce the front of the house. For the 4th shot set, I'll usually start with some sort of top down. I like to put the camera directly above the house and then raise the altitude more or less as high as I can until I start to see the neighbors' houses, and I like to see the neighborhood grid. There's some stuff you can do in post, like add rotation or speed ramp, but we can talk about that in another video. I also like to just fly down one of the streets so you can see the houses on both sides. To me, it feels like you're introducing the community as well. Another shot you can do if you have flight restrictions, like say you're limited to only 50 feet or something. Have the drone centered in the middle of the street, camera facing forward, and just fly down the middle of the street about tree height. And number 5, my final shot set, is the pushback pan up. This one is pretty much the same as the push and pan down, except now you're backing away from the subject and you're just re-showing the neighborhood as like a final visual. And then the final shot that I really enjoy doing is an orbit around the subject while panning up, while also pushing out. So it's kind of like a final orbit where your drone is losing its gravitational pull to the subject, you're panning up and orbiting as you do it. The more axes of movement you have, the more dynamic your shot will be, for the most part. And when you throw them all together, you get stuff like this. Well guys, I hope that was helpful for you. I hope you learned something. If you have questions, feel free to ask, or just find more creators on YouTube. There's tons of videos on this kind of stuff. I'm thinking maybe for the next video, I'll either jump into editing, like how to make the edits more dynamic, or some BTS shots. All right, thanks for watching guys, peace.